Okay, in this video we're going to talk about racking into these 6-liter bottles again. This time I'm going to address the problem of what do you do if you don't have enough to fill the bottle and you don't want oxygen in there. So what I did is I pressurized this little 3-liter soda bottle with my tire pump and put a cap. I made that cap, and you can hear it's pretty tight. It held air for weeks actually with that tire stem that I got at the auto parts store. So not going to talk all about the racking process, but similar racking process to the other earlier video, but instead this time I'm going to use this CO2 cartridge to force CO2 into the top of the carboy in order to force the liquid to come out over the racking cane and then to the into the 6-liter bottle. And yeah, that was surprising, and that's why I do not recommend this particular CO2 device. It depends upon just forcing high pressure into the tire stem in order to open the valve instead of having a mechanical actuator to open the valve. So I didn't really like that too much, but anyway, this is the racking process. So now we're to the point where we've got a bottle that isn't full, so there's a lot of O2 in there, which I don't like. So what I'm going to do is put the cap on loosely and squeeze the bottle. Now I realize this is really shortening the life of these bottles, especially as much as I'm squeezing that one. But I'm going to take the CO2 and add it to this bottle now after I've squeezed out all of the oxygen, all the air. And again, this thing is not a good control, and I don't recommend this particular brand, but I think that there's some with triggers that would work better than this that actually push on the stem of the valve, and you don't have to wait for such high pressure to build up in it before it actually puts CO2 in it. So here I'm sort of easing it in there as much as I can, and then once it goes, it just, you'll hear. Yeah, so it basically sort of comes in there pretty quick. With this particular one, since I've got several of these tire stem caps made, I think I'm just going to cap this one off and just leave it this way, and to make sure that it doesn't, or make sure I know when it's leaking, I'm going to put a balloon on the top. This one didn't leak, by the way. I had the balloon on top and it's still sitting in there. Hadn't leaked. It's been a while since I shot this. I'm just adding the audio now, of course. So that's one. I'm going to be doing 3. That's the one that had the least amount of beer in it. Here's another one. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not as full as I would like it. Way too much air in there for me. Of course, if you come up with a 5-gallon batch, you don't have this problem, and I would like it if I always ended up with 5 gallons, but I don't always end up with 5 gallons. So this is a good workaround, and I've got plenty of these bottles from Miller Home Draft things. So if I shorten the life of these things, so be it. Here we go again to fill it up with CO2. Happens pretty quick. And this one, instead of leaving the cap on, I've only got 2 of those caps. I'm going to take it off and just put on a cap. Now, yeah, maybe a little bit of air got in there just then, but it's mostly CO2 in there. I feel a lot better about having that much headspace, and I like to crank the caps down nice and tight, otherwise they leak. In fact, I believe one of these might have leaked, and of course, I saw it immediately because I had the balloon, and I went down and torqued it down a little bit tighter. So, and here's the last one, and this one, this is a little bit of a bonus feature. We're going to do the same thing we just did on the last one, but after we do the same thing, I'm going to go through the forced carbonation sort of trick that I showed on an earlier video. And if it interests you, maybe you could go and seek out that other video if you haven't seen it already. Again, same thing here, just adding CO2. And I thought maybe pushing down would help, but I looked in there and there's no actuator to push the tire stem, so you just got to get a lot of pressure on top of it and it comes out all of a sudden. Don't really like that. So I'm gonna have to, maybe I'll just go to the bike store and find one that I can actually look at instead of getting, I got that one mail order and you can't lay your hands on it. So what I'm gonna do now is take this cap off and put a tap on. So lose some CO2 there. Rinse a little bit of sanitizer through the tap. That's not the only cleaning I did of that tap, but that was the last little bit. That's that 3-liter soda bottle that I keep around for such purposes. And pop the pressure cap off and drop the tap in and screw it on there. So now I'm going to show you sort of how to drill out the. Well, no, first I'm going to put a CO2 cartridge on there. So that was the sleeve, and again in another video you can see sort of how that sleeve is put together to center the smaller 8-gram cartridge, even though this thing is meant to use 16-gram cartridges. And other videos go over this in more detail. Now here we go, adding the CO2 cartridge and twisting it in. And you can hear, now what I'm doing here is I'm holding my thumb over that because I hear it leaking, and it's leaking out of where that, where you can sort of see this in this little rendering that I had from an earlier video. That's where it's leaking out of, and I'm holding my thumb to prevent that from leaking, and it's just a bad gasket in there. It must have been a sort of an old tap or something. This wasn't a good one. This one leaked a little bit, and you know you lose a little CO2. But here I'm shaking the CO2 into solution. I do that. You know, I can get 8 grams to go into solution real easy, even if the beer is warm, and have not got any leaks. So. After this shaking bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set your drill up to drill the forced carbonation hole in it. That one came out of the refrigerator. That one you see, and this is how the little nail goes in there and pushes the actuator in so that CO2 goes into the beer. And it's not a perfectly accurate drawing, but it's something. It looks something like that in there. So this is the one I just put on, and one I'm going to drill. And I'm showing you here that I measured that on the existing one out of the refrigerator. So it's about 1 centimeter of depth. You don't want to go any more than that. You'll feel it actually. It'll make sort of a scratchy noise. So you get through the first layer here, and it sort of pops through, and then you have to drill out some of that center material going in at an angle like that, so you hit that white thing in there, and then it'll pop through that too. So you can see that I'm my 1 centimeter depth. So yeah, cut a little nail or something to stick in there, and there you have it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Unfortunately, this one sort of ends quick.